Thanks to everyone who came to Walters this week, our best turnout yet for a mid-season hangout. The only screen in Navy Yard that is bigger than the one at Walters is just across the street in center field at Nationals Park.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
Pitch to Wood. Swinging a long drive. Right center field. And the Nationals lead. Off the facing of the second deck. They go back to back. Nationals 3. Yankees 2. 26 for James Wood. He destroyed that first sinker to deep right center field. Ruiz, the game tire. Wood, the go-ahead home run on consecutive pitches.
38,085, a sellout crowd. Beeter sets, checking the runner at second. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. He blew him away that time with a 97-mile-an-hour heater. Clayton Better gets the job done and strands the tying run at second base. Now the pitch. Breaking ball hit in the air to deep right. Down the line toward the corner. Trouble if it's fair. And this ball is gone. A home run into the second deck in right field. Chisholm got the sweeper. And the Yankees have regained the lead on a 2-run homer by Jazz Chisholm, his 13th of the year. It's the Yankees 4, the Nationals 3. And a swing and a drive hit well to right center field. This is way back, and this one is gone goodbye. Over the big wall in right center field. Now the Yankees have a lead. They now have an insurance run. It's New York 5 and Washington 3.
Sitting here talking with our group after the game tonight, like, we all believed the process was right and the outcome was not. Just, we have 4 lefties in our bullpen because we expect them to do well against left-hand hitters, and particularly against this group with a heavy left-hand lineup.
And welcome to Nats Chat. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. I'm joined by Washington Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman of NatsJournal.com. He's at Nationals Park, and Friday night ended up being quite the night at Nationals Park. We had game 1 of a 3-game series between the top 2 home run hitting teams in MLB's 2026 regular season, the Washington Nationals and New York Yankees. We, prior to the game, had a 2-hour rain delay, so first pitch was not until 8:45. We had a tremendous crowd. Official attendance, 38,085, although many of those in attendance were Yankees fans. We had Keibert, Ruiz, and James Wood smashing back-to-back one-out solo homers at a 2-run 7th to give the Nats a 3-2 lead. But we had the Nats blowing a 3-2 ninth-inning lead by allowing 3 runs in the top of the ninth. And we had the Nats losing to the Yankees 5-3. Another gut-wrenching loss for the Nats due to their relief pitching. They're now 48-47 with a run differential of +11. The Yankees now are 52-42 with a run differential of +87. This installment of Nats Chat brought to us by the nonprofit Chesapeake Climate Action Network Action Fund. Tired of paying $4 for a gallon of gas? CCAN Action Fund is raffling 3 amazing electric cars, including a Rivian SUV, as part of an annual fundraiser to fight for clean air in the DMV. Get 3 chances to win with just 1 ticket at evraffle.org. That's evraffle.org. Also, a salute to the home base of the Nats Chat podcast. Walter Sports Bar in D.C. Is right next to Nationals Park, is run by the great Jeremy Gifford. So we found out that one of the Nats' top prospects, infielder Devin Fitzgerald, his mom, Colleen Fitzgerald, is battling brain cancer. This was highlighted in a piece by Nats insider Spencer Nussbaum of The Athletic. The Nats, to their credit, have donated $10,000 to a GoFundMe for Colleen Fitzgerald. And we late night on Friday night got this from the official X account of Walters. The account is at Walters Bar DC. Quote, "We have matched the Nationals donation. Tomorrow, as in Saturday, we will add a line to all checks through the end of the baseball season to allow you to round up your tab. to help support Devin's mom, end quote. A tremendous gesture by Walters. All the best to Colleen Fitzgerald. So the Yankees are number 1 in MLB in home runs, 139. The Nats are number 2 in MLB in homers, 134. The Nats on Friday night got out-homered 4-2. Thanks in part to relief pitchers Matt Krook and Justin Lawrence, each allowing a homer and combining to allow 3 runs in the top of the 9th. And Mark, why Krook was even in the game is the question of the game. I like Blake Butera. I think that he overall is doing a tremendous job as Nats manager. And look, how much of his decisions are him versus how much of the decisions are Nats baseball operations as a whole, we don't know. But not sticking with Clayton Better, going with Matt Krook, I didn't like it. I know a lot of people didn't like it. It clearly did not work. And the fact that Butera, during his postgame session with you guys late night on Friday night, admitted that he himself was questioning the decision.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm sitting here wondering if that's the right thing to do or not. Whenever you lose and get beat that way, you definitely question what we're doing.
That seemed very telling.
Yeah, it was, because it's not like this is the first time they've blown a lead. This was the 4th time in their last 16 games that they have given up a go-ahead homer in the 9th inning. That's pretty remarkable in itself. The previous ones, those were the games against the Phillies, and plenty you can say about those, but this one was different from the rest because it really did boil down to the manager's decisions or the organization's decisions about who was out there at the end of the game. There was a lot of interesting stuff that happened in this game prior to the 9th inning, and I feel like it's just not even worth discussing that much. I know we'll get to it all, but this entire discussion is really about the 9th inning and the process that got them into that spot. And we'll get into it all. I think Butera's comments were pretty telling afterwards. He lost his voice, as he pointed out to us. I don't know if that's because he was, yelling after the game, or maybe it had happened to him prior to that point. I don't know.
Yeah, I lost my voice, so bear with me.
But I think you do raise a good point there, and I think it's important for people to know this. This is not just Blake Butera deciding on his own who to bring in the 9th inning. They meet as an organization, the coaching staff and some people with the front office, some analytics people. They meet before every game, and especially at the start of every series, and they go over all the different scenarios that may play out. And they come out of that meeting knowing, here's what we want to do. If situation X arrives, we're going to combat that with Y. And so the decision to put Matt Krook out there for the 9th inning is not something that Butera just decides in the moment. It is something that they had concocted beforehand if that particular situation arose. Because it was left-handed hitters, the Yankees have a lot of them. The Nats have now 4 lefty relievers in their bullpen. And so they had decided, if it comes to that, we are going with a left-hander. Obviously, it did not work. And who knows if Clayton Better would have gotten the job done or not. But I'll just say this, 2 points. Number one, he's the closest thing they have to an actual closer on this team. He's done it a little bit. Not a ton, but he's done it more than Matt Krook or anyone else has done it. Number 2, he's actually got good numbers against lefties. And what we have seen consistently from this team this year is that they prioritize lefty-righty matchups like above all else. And they very often, it seems like, prioritize what the opponent's lefty-righty splits are more than what their own guys' lefty-righty splits are. And that applies both to pitchers and hitters. And I think you saw that particularly in this game, and it backfired in spectacular fashion.
It did. Of all the gut-wrenching losses for the Nats this season, this may have been the worst. So the Nats in this game used an opener in Carson Palmquist and then a bulk man in Zach Littell. Each guy did well. We'll get to them. But in terms of the pitchers beyond Palmquist and Littell, Tom Cosgrove made his Nats debut. He tossed 2/3 of a scoreless inning. Top of the 8th, faced 3 batters, sandwiched a 3-6-3 double play between a leadoff walk and a 2-out single. The Nats on July 3rd traded cash considerations to the Houston Astros for Cosgrove, and the Nats on Friday afternoon announced having selected the contract of Cosgrove from AAA Rochester. So yet another new face for this Nats bullpen. Clayton Better came into the game, retired the only batter he faced, generated traded a swinging strikeout of the Yankees' number 4 batter, Paul Goldschmidt, with Trent Grisham on second, 2 outs, and the Nats up 3-2 to end the top of the 8th. Now, Beeter did issue a wild pitch to advance Grisham to second base, but ultimately got a big out. Then we had the decision of the game. Blake Butera going with a lefty, Matt Krook, to face a lefty-heavy portion of the Yankees lineup to close out the game, even though, like you said, Clayton Better has done well against lefties, and even though Matt Krook entered this game with a total of 12 2/3 innings in his MLB regular season career. It's not like the resume of Matt Krook is a mile long, and this decision did not work. Krook allowed 2 runs in a third of an inning. He would ended up being a 3-run ninth for the Yankees. Gave up a 1-out single by the switch hitting Jason Dominguez to left center field, despite him having been down at 1.12. And yet another instance of this Nats bullpen, which refuses to strike guys out, not putting a batter away when he's down with 2 strikes. And Krook then gave up a homer, a 1-out 2-run homer by the left-handed hitting Jazz Chisholm Jr. to right field for a 4-3 Yankees lead. Then Justin Lawrence came into the game. He allowed a run in 2/3 of an inning. He and the Yankees' 3-run ninth faced 6 batters, but got 2 outs. He gave up a home run and a single and issued 2 walks. The homer was a 2-out solo homer by Austin Wells to right center field for a 5-3 Yankees lead. Lawrence threw 24 pitches, just 11 strikes versus 13 balls. So both Krook and Lawrence looked especially bad. This bullpen continues to give up homers by the truckload. The Nats now have allowed an MLB worst 68 relief pitching home runs, and the lack of the strikeout remains glaring. We've talked about all of that. So there's a difference between bad process and bad results. My issue with what happened in this game isn't so much the result as it is the process. I think this is where the Nats have to fine-tune their process. I'm a big believer in the Nats process. And as we have been discussing it, I think this is so key. This is about their process. I'll see people say, Blake Butera can't manage a bullpen. It isn't Blake Butera on his own managing this bullpen. This has got to be understood. There's a reason we constantly invoke the names of people like Paul Taboni and Ani Colombi. They're as big, if not bigger than Butera in these in-game decisions. I think this is a very important reality that people need to grasp. This is how a lot of teams now are doing things across MLB, but the process, while it has overall done such a good job this season, it doesn't mean it can't be fine-tuned. And I think this is an instance of the process needing some fine-tuning, because from a 30,000-foot vantage point, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to go with Krook in that spot. Either stick with Beeter, go with PJ Poulin. That came up during the post-game session with Butera.
To be honest, we try not to deviate from it so that these guys aren't wondering what's going on. They pretty much know when they're going to be asked to pitch, when they're going to be asked to pinch hit, all those things, and we believe in our process, and it feels like we keep it burned.
But to put Krook in a spot like that, in a moment it didn't feel right. A lot of us first guessed it, and obviously it did not work out. And, it's a funny deal with this bullpen, man. When it unravels, it unravels. Krook struggles, they go to Lawrence, and was there anyone who expected Lawrence to come in and look good? Not that he has looked good anyway so far, but it just feels like when one guy goes bad in the 9th inning, the next guy goes bad in the 9th inning, and that's exactly what happened in this game.
The moment the Jazz Chisholm hit the homer, the game was over, I think. The energy was sucked out of that team. They put up very little fight in the bottom of the 9th when they came up to hit again. Obviously, once Lawrence came in, they're trailing. Yeah, you hope he keeps it close, but the air had been sucked out of the place, and for all intents and purposes, it felt like it was a walk-off homer by Jazz Chisholm. Here's how I'm going to describe what we're talking about here. The process is only as good as your personnel. You can say, yes, you want a lefty in there against the Yankees lefty hitters who don't hit lefties well. That's fine. That's smart. But you can only do that if you have the right lefties to match up with them. The Nationals do not have that. Clayton Better, he may have given it up himself. It's not an ideal matchup, him against lefties who hit righties well. But based on the personnel they have, he's their best option. He had just gotten through the 8th on 7 pitches. And I asked Butera whether not bringing him back was something specifically going on tonight, maybe they were worried about his health. They didn't want to bring him back out there for a second inning. He said, no, it was specifically because he would have had to face 3 straight lefties.
It was strictly because he was going to face 3 lefties in a row.
And I get it. That's not an ideal matchup at all. But if Clayton Better gives it up in the 9th, I don't think anybody's really questioning that decision. You lose, and you lose with your best guy. And now maybe their best guy isn't all that good compared to most teams' best guys out of the bullpen, but you gave it your best shot. You put your best guy out there and you hope for the best, as opposed to putting someone out there who's a 31-year-old journeyman, as you said, 12 career major league innings, 0 major league saves, only 2 saves in something like 250 career minor league appearances. These are not robots. These are human beings. And the 9th inning against the New York Yankees in front of a sellout crowd is different than your average situation on the mound. And you can't tell me that that's not true. And Butera is even acknowledging that himself. I think they understand that to be the case.
I think it is real. The 9th inning is different. And look, when you're facing 3 hitters in the 9th, like these 3, it doesn't help your case at all. But at the end of the day, like these guys from the bullpen, they're going to have to get big outs for us.
So if you want this to be your process, that's fine. But then you have to go get the personnel that matches the process. If you don't have the personnel, you just have to go with your best available option. And in this case, to me, it's clear that it was Clayton Better.
What about PJ Poulin? I thought the whole point of him not opening was that he would be available in late inning, high leverage spots. Well, here was such a spot. Why didn't the Nats go to Poulin?
Yeah, that question was asked of him as well. And the answer was essentially, so that it was 3 batters coming up, a lefty, a switch hitter, and another lefty. So if you bring in a lefty to face them, then the middle hitter, Dominguez, is going to switch to the right side. And they believed that the numbers said that Krook was a little bit better against a righty than Poulin would be.
Yeah, I mean, Krook was slightly better against Dominguez. He's a little bit better against righties than PJ is. So that was a thought, just with Dominguez there in the middle of those 3.
So again, the numbers may say that. And not that PJ Poulin is some really experienced lockdown late inning reliever, but he has done it before, and he's had some success for the Nationals doing it. I agree. Why not have him be the one out there instead? I wondered if this was them actually holding on to him because maybe they want him to open on Saturday for Miles Michaelis. I don't necessarily think that's the reasoning behind it. I hope it's not, because, and we've seen this from Blake Butera, you have a chance to win a game, you're going to try to win the game, and then you figure out tomorrow. And we've seen actually Poulin close a game and then come back and open another game. So it's not like he couldn't have, in theory, done that. So if you're going to insist on a lefty there, I think Poulin makes more sense than Krook. But above all else, Clayton Better's your best late inning reliever. Leave him in there, sink or swim with him. If you lose because of that, so be it. I don't think you have to really answer yourself if Clayton Better blows the save in the 9th.
The bullpen is horrible. There's an element here of it's hard to be that critical of the manager when he's given a bullpen that is this bad. But what happened in this game was so glaring that I don't think it's unfair at all to question the decisions that were made. And again, to what extent these decisions truly were of Butera, I think is something you have to keep in mind. It's about the Nats collectively making these decisions. But whoever was behind this decision to go to Krook, the decision is worthy of criticism. Of that, there is no doubt. And we had what we had in this game.
And I hope they, as a group, as Butera, acknowledged himself, you start analyzing it after the fact and having doubts, and maybe we shouldn't have done it that way.
We asked Beeter to come in there, get hot, come in, get a big out for us to end the 8th, and then sit back down. And then we didn't want to ask him to come back out again for the 9th, facing 3 lefties in a row.
I truly hope as a group they meet together again and say, maybe we should change this. Yes, we believe in the concept of what we're trying to do here, but we also have to acknowledge the reality of what we have to work with. And maybe that means doing things a little bit differently than what the pure matchups and numbers would suggest we should do. So I hope they do. I'll take a long look at that and be willing to adapt based on the results that we've seen so far.
Yeah, like I said, fine-tune the process. I think the process overall is great. The process overall is working wonders, but that doesn't mean that the process is perfect. And by the way, when it comes to the bullpen, Paul Taboni just got here. I want to give him some time to put together a halfway decent bullpen. But in the meantime, how do you handle what you have, which is the worst bullpen in MLB, or at least one of the worst bullpens in MLB?
This installment of Nats Chat is brought to us by our friends at the Chesapeake Climate Action Network Action Fund, one of the best nonprofits fighting for a greener environment in the DMV. They're back with their 8th annual electric vehicle raffle for the planet, with all proceeds going to help their fight for cleaner air and a healthier Chesapeake Bay. And with gas prices soaring, it's never been a better time to win an electric car. Here are 3 reasons you should visit the website evraffle.org and grab a raffle ticket today. Again, evraffle.org. Number 1, the prize options are amazing. First prize winner will choose their own luxury Rivian, Lucid, or Porsche EV worth up to $115,000. Second place will choose between the Rivian R2, Volkswagen ID Buzz, or a Hyundai Ioniq 5. And the third prize winner gets the amazing Chevy Bolt. Reason number 2, each ticket gets you 3 chances to win an EV, which means your odds are incredible. Tickets are just $200 and a limited number will be sold. They even cover taxes and fees on the prizes. And reason number 3, CCAN Action Fund funds for affordable clean energy nationwide. You can win a brand new EV and support a cleaner world. 3 lucky people are going to win and you could be one of them. Get your ticket today at www.evraffle.org. That's evraffle.org, or check out the link in today's show notes.
Having a daily routine is crucial. For me, daily walks with my dog are a non-negotiable part of my wellness routine to get some fresh air and clear my mind. And after those walks, it's easy to grab my favorite all-in-one nutrition shake and take it wherever I'm off to next with Kachava's new travel packs. One easy-to-use packet provides complete nutrition ready for life on the go with protein, fiber, vitamins and minerals, greens, probiotics, omegas, electrolytes, and more. Kachava has 8 great flavors, including chocolate, vanilla, chai, matcha, coconut acai, strawberry, coffee, and my favorite, backed by popular demand, chocolate mint. Take your daily ritual with you. Go to Kachava.com and use code SPORTS for 15% off your first order. That's Kachava, spelled Kachava.com, and code SPORTS.
Gap in right center for Wood. Grisham deep in left center. Bellinger shallow in left in the pitch. Swinging a dribbler off the end of his bat. Off the mound is Bednar. The overhand throw to Goldschmidt. And the Yankees take game 1 of the series. Disappointing finish for the Nationals, who took a 3-2 lead to the 9th. And once again, their bullpen unable to close the door and finish it off.
The shame of what happened with the Matt Krook scenario late night on Friday night is that the Nats actually got really good starting pitching in this game. So the Nats went with an opener, reliever Carson Palmquist. He did quite well. 1 run in 3 innings, 4 strikeouts, no walks. He gave up 3 hits, which were a home run and 2 singles. He threw a ton of strikes, 45 pitches, 33 strikes, just 12 balls. So the lone blemish truly for Palmquist was the homer. Top of the first, gave up a 1-out opposite field solo homer by Ben Rice to left field for a 1-0 Yankees lead. But, these days, there's not that much shame in giving up a home run by Ben Rice. And starting pitcher Zach Littell then came into the game to serve as the Nats bulk pitcher. He allowed 1 run in 4 innings with 5 strikeouts versus no walks. He gave up 5 hits, which were a homer and 4 singles. He threw a lot of strikes, 69 pitches, 49 strikes, just 20 balls. Littell, in the top of the 4th, allowed a run, gave up a 2-out solo homer by Jason Dominguez to right center field for a 2-1 Yankees lead. But you add up what was done by Carson Palmquist and Zach Littell. 2 runs in 7 innings, 9 strikeouts versus no walks. Beautiful. Tremendous work by Palmquist and Littell.
That's the key number, the 0 walks and the 9 strikeouts. I mean, Zach Littell, we don't think of as a big strikeout guy. He had that working for him tonight. You live with the 2 solo homers they both gave up. At one point, Littell strikes out 5 out of 6 batters that he faced. And again, this is the Yankees. He's facing a really good, potent lineup, and he did that against them. I suppose there's an argument that maybe he could have come back for the 8th inning. He's only at 69 pitches. I don't necessarily think that was the right move. I think you took the lead, you go to the bullpen now at that point. But he and Palmquist together did exactly what you're hoping for against this kind of opponent. 7 innings, 2 runs. I'm calling that a quality start. We're going to combine them together, say that was their starter. quality start. They absolutely got the job done. And it is absolutely a shame that went for naught, because coming into this game against that Yankee lineup, are you assuming you're going to get 7 innings of 2-run ball from Palmquist and Littell? Probably not. I think a lot of people thought this was going to be a high-scoring game in general. The fact that they only gave up 2 runs and were that efficient and effective, it really underscores how good of a job they did, and that is a shame to waste that outing.
Yeah, it's odd. It was not a high-scoring game, and yet the two teams combined for 6 home runs in the game. The Nats themselves hit 2 homers, hit for some power, but ultimately just 3 runs. The Nats totaled 8 hits, which were 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and 4 singles. But the Nats drew no walks and went just 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. The highlight of the night from a Nats offensive standpoint was that 2-run 7th, back-to-back home runs by Keibert, Ruiz, and James Wood. Wood is the Nats starting right fielder and number 1 batter, 3 for 5 with a solo homer, a double, and a single. As his tear continues, Wood in the Nats 2-run 7th, and went out first pitch solo homer to right center field to put the Nats up 3-2. The homer going a projected 419 feet per StatCast. And prior to that was Ruiz homering. Ruiz as the Nats starting catcher and number 9 batter, 1 for 4 with a solo homer. His homer came on an 0-2 pitch, was to left field, and tied the game at 2. And I tell you, you had this sellout crowd, right? And so many of the fans were Yankees fans, all right? Let's just be honest about it. Yankees fans overtook Nationals Park. But when Wood homered, the sound in the crowd, you heard Nats fans. And, that feeling of late night on a Friday night, Nats, Yankees, each team with a winning record, Nats in playoff contention for the first time in years, James Wood hitting a big tie-breaking homer.
Number 26 for James Wood.
That was a big moment, man. That was one of the great feelings that we've had so far this Nats season.
This was shaping up to be one of their best wins of the year, the way it was going up until the 9th inning. And yes, I don't know what the exact split of the fans were, but I would say that the roar on the Wood homer was louder than the roar on the Chisholm homer in the 9th. I think it was. It may not be huge difference, but I think it was. And I think it's important to remember that in a crowd of 38,000, yes, actually a majority of them are Nats fans. Not to say there weren't tons of Yankee fans, because of course there were. It's also not unique to DC. This happens almost everywhere the Yankees go. It's just the way it is. But it felt like one of those back and forth games, and they took the lead in such spectacular fashion on back-to-back pitches, with your star player delivering a no-doubter like that to give you the lead. This was going to be one of the more inspiring wins of the year, except you knew in the back of your mind there's still 6 outs to go, and you know how hard it is for this particular team to get those 6 outs.
James Wood now at 26 home runs and an OPS of 962, which is comprised of a 404 on-base percentage and a 558 slugging percentage. There was significant Nats news on the off day on Thursday. The Nats put one of their best relief pitchers, Brad Lord, on the 15-day injured list, retroactive to July 6th. This due to left side tightness. And the Nats on Friday afternoon announcing the Tom Cosgrove move, also announced having transferred starting pitcher Jake Irvin to the 60-day injured list. But this Brad Lord situation, left side tightness. Now, you hear that and you think oblique, and oblique is always scary because oblique injuries tend to linger. But the Nats very particular in the phrasing here, left side tightness. So it is not an oblique ailment. Is that correct?
I suppose, yeah. Not, if it's an official muscle strain, hopefully would have called it an oblique strain. Maybe they caught this before it had turned into anything like that. It sounds like Lord felt this, or at least brought to their attention the day after he made his last appearance, which was one of those blow-ups. It was on Sunday against the Pirates when he had a really good inning and then came back for a second inning and gave up a ton of runs, 5, I think, and wound up throwing 50 pitches. It was the second time in his last 4 outings that he had a blow-up after being really, really good for a long time. Now, I don't know if it was a byproduct of the work that he'd been doing or if something else happened and he just happened to feel this the day after. But they did, at least Blake Butera, made it sound like they believe this is going to be a minimal stay, or they're hoping that it is.
I hope it's not a longer thing. Just kind of day-to-day, every 24 hours, see how he's feeling. Hopefully it's a minimum stay, like I said, but we need to take care of him.
The All-Star break counts as days on the IL. So in theory, he could be back without missing even 15 games, but we'll see. You never assume anything with this stuff, but it's a big loss. Now, who knows if he would have been in there in this game, this situation, but he's obviously one of the few trusted relievers they have. And even if he only misses 15 days, that's a significant loss for this team.
Game 2 for the Nats against the Yankees Saturday afternoon at 4:05. Miles Mikolas is listed as the Nats' probable starting pitcher, but we'll see if the Nats go with the opener strategy. And don't forget, the 2026 MLB draft gets going on Saturday, is happening over Saturday and Sunday, is taking place in Philadelphia. We on Saturday have rounds 1 through 4. The Nats have the number 11 overall pick, and we on Sunday have rounds 5 through 20. This installment of Nats Chat brought to us by the nonprofit Chesapeake Climate Action Network Action Fund. Tired of paying $4 for a gallon of gas? CCAN Action Fund is raffling 3 amazing electric cars, including a Rivian SUV, as part of an annual fundraiser to fight for clean air in the DMV. Get 3 chances to win with just 1 ticket at evraffle.org. That's evraffle.org. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat, courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat podcast.
The 0-2 from Hill. He swings and blasts one down the left field line toward the corner. If it's fair, it's gone, and it's fair. It's a home run to tie the game for Keibert Ruiz. Right down the left field line. On an 0-2 pitch, Ruiz with home run number 7 makes it the Nationals 2 and the Yankees 2. A bolt of lightning off the bat from Keibert Ruiz.